Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
I'm beginning this.
Now you will be giving an introduction or something like that?
Yes, sir. I will be giving an introduction plus a welcome speech for you.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's me again, Divya Sriram from Safety Cluster, here to present today's webinar to you all on the topic Safety and Environment Protection in Surface Coatings, a new perspective. Presenter for today's webinar is Mr. X. Arokianathan, Managing Director, Vitech Enviro Systems Private Limited. Mr. Arokianathan is a chemical engineer, served 17 years of his career in ISRO Sriharikota. Later, he began Vitech. It's a company with vision with technology. They are the manufacturers of surface coating equipment such as paint booth, powder coating booth, ovens, phosphating plant, paint shop, turnkey projects, manufacturers of dust and air pollution control, equipment such as dust collector, scrubbers, blowers, fume exhaust systems, etc. We welcome you on board, sir. Visit our Safety Cluster channel on YouTube to check out all our webinars till today. You may even share the videos to your friends, family, and circles for creating more awareness and learn more knowledge. Thank you. I now hand over to the presenter, Mr. Arokianathan.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank Dr. Sriram and his team for giving me this opportunity to share my views and thoughts in the field of surface coatings. Yes, my journey was started from ISRO Sriharikota, but I was handling rocket fuel and propellants. And many will be wondering how did I come from a rocket propellant field to the surface coating field. Well, it was the entrepreneurial bug caught me, and I wanted to choose a subject which we could start a small entrepreneur, start a small venture, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So during that process, somewhere in '86, I could identify powder coating technology, which was very new in this part of the country. And I identified that subject, and I started doing more research on that. And I saw that there were not many players in the field. We were then we started this powder coating unit in the way '86, '87. And we were one among the first people to start in Chennai. So there were a few existing in Bombay and Delhi. So from that stage, we started, the technology was very new, and we started growing. We started doing a job work. Then in the year '93, I saw there is a lot of opportunity for manufacturing equipment, because till then it was all being imported. And we started manufacturing equipment from '93, and that is when the company Vitech was born. We started making complete equipment for powder coating, then subsequently went into painting, and then it is now nearly 27 years of our journey in the field of surface coating. This is a brief history. I start my presentation, and I'll start sharing my presentation. So today the subject is that what has been given to me is on the safety and environmental protection in surface coatings, a new perspective. This subject of surface coating is quite a large subject, and just to give you a brief history about this subject, I would like to tell you that surface coatings is a new subject which has come into the country after the advent of the automobile, which has been first started with Maruti Suzuki. Till then, we were just doing conventional painting. You could remember the Ambassador and the Premier Padmini of those days, when we used to just every 3-4 years the car goes to the garage for repainting. And compared to today's modern vehicles, which lasts you quite a good number of years, even 10 to 15 years, you don't have to do the repainting. So technology has changed a long way in the area of surface coatings, and we would like to look into that. And as the technology is growing, of course, we have to look into other areas like safety and environmental issues which crop up during this in this field. We started our company was started about almost now it's almost 27 years, and we have a factory in near Ambattur, as well as near on the way to Gumadipundi at Puduvai. Yeah, so we have a full manufacturing facility. We have good vendor to make to make parts for us, and also ancillary systems for us. And we have mastered our in engineering, in the design of equipments for painting, as well as for powder coating and phosphating, and we have adapted all international standards. There is one small difference which I would like to share with you. Basically, we have the standards of OSHA or NFPA, and these standards which we follow from the US Western American ventilation standards. We have seen that those standards, when we apply in the Indian context, are not adequate, because those the systems are designed for their climate, and we in Chennai have to redesign it to suit our tropical climates. So we had to do a little bit of tinkering in the standards, so that we are able to meet our requirements in our country. Yes. So with this, I would like to say, what are the constituents which goes into a surface coating plant? Basically any metal or any aluminum or any metal substrate which needs, before it painting or powder coating or any finishing, it has to undergo pre-treatment. That is the basic important first part of the process. And after a good pre-treatment, the metal is ready to be coated with either paint or powder. And after that, it is cured in a oven, drying. And sometimes aesthetic components are to be done in a very clean environment. And added to these equipments, you need a suitable environmental control equipments, and handling of the job during the painting. Now today we do go completely for automation also. The full plant can be automated, so that you have just the raw component is put on a conveyor system, and you get a finished product at the end of the line. We make all the other equipments like the ovens, dry off oven, hot air generators, and total turnkey projects for the surface coating plant. Now let us come back to the basic of the pre-treatment. Basically, the pre-treatment is to make the paint adhere to the metal. And if this is not done properly, this is where the problem of peeling and an improper paint finish, and paint peeling out, getting corroded quickly, all this can happen if the part is not cleaned properly. So the pre-treatment is nothing but an application of a protective coating like phosphating, zinc phosphate or iron phosphate or chromate, and this enhances the rust and corrosion properties of the metal. And if the addition of the paint to the substrate is good, this will ensure a long life. And there are certain measuring parameters to check how good the quality of the paint is. So with a properly applied pre-treatment, when coupled with a good quality paint, enables the metals to resist rust or corrosion for much longer periods of time. Now, in a pre-treatment plant, you have a lot of tanks of chemicals, and it goes through a process of degreasing, derusting, phosphating, chromating, etc. So a number of times the jobs are dipped in these tanks, and then it is finally it goes through a process of 7 tank or 10 tank process. Now, in this process, what are the pollution problems? We have when we do hot phosphating, so there is bound to be fumes which are exhausted, and these could be acidic or alkaline, and this needs to be neutralized. So we provide a fume exhaust system for these tanks. Now, the fumes from these tanks are exhausted out, but they cannot be let out directly because it can corrode the other environment. So we need to put a scrubber in place to neutralize all these fumes. A scrubber is nothing but if it is an acidic fume, we need an alkaline liquid medium. There's a counter spray of liquid and gas, and the outgoing gases, the fumes are scrubbed clean before letting into the atmosphere. So this is mandatory as per the requirement of the pollution control boards. Now, what about the effluents, or what about the draining of these tanks? See, these chemicals cannot be let out into the normal sewage or drainage because this needs to be treated. And as per today's norms, it should be a zero discharge system. And when it is zero discharge systems means that you should not allow all this effluent to go out into the common drainage system. So what is to be done? You need to treat that effluent so that you remove all the hazardous materials, and then you can recycle the water back into the plant. Now we have to do that, we have now new systems called sludge separator systems. Whatever sludge is generated in these tanks can be separated, and the water is neutralized, and then it can be reused for recycling is done. Now, the early days we used to use all sort of chemicals like hydrochloric acid and other unfriendly chemicals, but today we have a lot of development in the chemistry, and you have eco-friendly chemicals which are available in the market. These eco-friendly chemicals are like nano coatings, and we have phosphate-free coating like zirconates, silanes, polymers, and other nano coatings are available today, developed by these pre-treatment chemical manufacturers. So we can use these type of chemicals which will be less harmful to the environment. A typical phosphating line is on the left side, where there are a number of tanks, and the jobs are dipped in the tanks one after the other, and it passes through the 7-tank process or 11-tank process, whatever it is. If it is going to be on a conveyorized mode, we have a system called automatic spray phosphating. So as the job is passing on a conveyor system, there is a spray of degreasing chemical, then a spray of hot water, then a spray of phosphating chemical, then again a spray of water. So as required, as per the required specification required, the number of sprays are built up, and this job passes through this spray tunnel, gets cleaned, and comes out of the pretreatment line. So these are the things in a basic pre-treatment line. So we do for a pre-treatment line, we provide complete solution to meet all the norms of the pollution control boards. We provide the fume exhaust system. We provide the sludge separator. We ensure the fumes are cleaned before discharge, and we ensure also recycling of the good water. Next, we go to a paint booth. Now, paint booths, we have variety of paint booths. It could be a small booth for making small painting of small components, to a painting of very large truck or even a helicopter or a small aircraft. So when you are using the paint booth is basically an enclosure for painting, and the fumes are exhausted through proper ventilation, with proper ventilation and through filter media, so that the overspray is captured. Now, there are two varieties. One is a wet type, where there is a water curtain, or there's a water used in the tank, and this water will capture the overspray. And there's other one called a dry type, where filters are used, paper filters are used to capture the suspended particulates from the paint overspray. And this can be, once this is saturated, this can be removed, easily disposed of, and a fresh layer of filters can be put into the booth. These are and we have a blower which will uh, suck the fumes through these filters and exhaust the clean air into the atmosphere. Now, now there is a question of the paint. Now, the paint consists of not only solid particles, but there are a certain amount of 30 to 40% or 50% of chemicals. So these are called volatile organic compounds, which can also get released into the atmosphere. Now, in these cases, now from the paint booth, the blower exhausts all of it. Only the suspended particles are captured in the filters, and the VOC component can escape from the booth. In such a case, we need to provide another mechanism to eliminate these volatile compounds. And today we are using scrubbers, dry scrubbers. These dry scrubbers are nothing but which contains activated carbon, which can absorb the volatiles from the exhaust fumes. And when what if it is a wet booth, there is the paint forms a sludge in the tank, and this sludge, if it goes on accumulating, so this water has to be removed and the sludge has to be separated. So today we are having an equipment called sludge separators. So nothing but, so it can be done automatically or periodically, and the water from the contaminated water from the paint booth is pumped through a separator, where by centrifugal force the sludge is separated, and the clean water can again be recycled into the paint booth. So there is no discharge of water from the paint booth. So this is again enhances the environmental norms of the Pollution Control Board, because you are not allowing contaminated water to go out, and you are recycling the water. Now these are features. I have already covered this. So we provide, in a paint booth, we provide the necessary ventilation. Depending on the size of the booth, the velocity inside the booth should be adequate enough to carry over the overspray. And these are the norms that are followed. We follow the OSHA standards and maintain the minimum particular velocities are to be maintained inside the booth. So we have a minimum velocity of at least 0.5 meter per second, whereas in the American ventilation it will be only 0.3, which is not adequate in our Indian context. So effective design of the booth needs that a good blower has to be selected, and it should overcome the resistance of the filters and the exhaust ducting. I already told you about there are two types, dry and wet type of booth, and the models will vary depending on the size of job. If it's a big truck that has to be painted, we need to call it a downdraft booth. If it's a good big like a windmill blade, means then you have a cross draft booths, and then you have small components, which you have a very standard small type of booths. So it depends on the type of job that has to be painted. We can select the booths. A typical booth, paper dry type booth, is on the left side, where you can see that in the brown color is the filter media, and there's a blower on top. which exhausts the fumes through the filter, and all the paint gets deposited on the filter, and this can be easily removed and cleaned. On the right side, you have a downdraft. See the big job. So when it's a big job, you cannot paint it in a vertical way. It's kept on the floor of the booth, and below the floor of the booth, you have the grating, and below that is the filter, so that the exhaust is from the bottom. So we call it downdraft. That means the air goes from the top towards the bottom, away from the nose of the painter, and the paint fumes are exhausted out. A typical painting line for a component, automobile component, is shown on the left side, and this moves on a conveyor. As it is moving on the conveyor, it is painted, and the right side also is conveyorized water curtain booth. The components keep moving on a conveyor and gets painted and comes out. A sludge separator is an equipment which is connected to the paint booth, and you can remove it circulates the water from the paint booth and filters the sludge. On the left, you can see a typical, very big plant where there are components are hanging on a conveyor, and they are moving on a conveyor from the paint booth into the oven. So it depends. The configuration of the plant is dependent on the size of the component to be coated, and the design and duration of travel, the speed of the conveyor, and all these parameters are factored in the design of a good continuous conveyorized plant. On the right side is a typical powder coating plant. You can see the two cyclone recovery units and a booth in the middle. Powder coating applicator is there. So as the jobs are going on a conveyor, we will go to the powder coating next. But before that, what are the safety features in a paint booth? So I already told you that we have to follow the NFPA codes. What does the NFPA code say? See, paint is a organic volatile material, and as it's sprayed, it is sprayed. If there's no proper ventilation, there is bound to be, if there is a spark, or if there is any hot zone, it's bound to catch fire. So we provide, as per NFPA code, we provide the sprinkler fire extinguishing system, which follows certain norms. Water sprinkler arrangements, and then you need to keep portable fire extinguishers, and you need to have a proper ventilation in the booth. If the blower is not running, if there is no adequate ventilation, this is bound to increase the TLV or threshold limit value of the paint particles inside the booth, and can also is susceptible to catch fire. So basically, in all the parts of the paint booth has to be it should be flame proof, and this is as per the NFPA code. And we also provide the sprinkler system for the in case of fire to put down the fire. Then you should maintain a minimum velocity, so adequate exhaust duct work, and if it is in a closed space, we should see that proper adequate air replacement is there. Suppose it is a closed booth, we need the exhaust air should be replaced with a supply air with using a air handling unit. So this proper ventilation will ensure that there is no catastrophe, there is no hazard. Another thing, another very critical is the blower, and in the blower we use aluminium impeller blades, because aluminium, to prevent any friction and or any spark due to friction. So aluminium blades are also used in the and non-sparking, and also flame-proof motors and flame-proof electrical fittings. So now that's what I said. The lighting inside the paint booth should be a flame-proof light fitting, and the motors are all flame-proof motors are used. Electrical and all ignition sources should be given. There should be no combustible materials, combustible construction materials. The booth is mainly made of steel sheets. Yeah. So we follow the standards used in the all global practices in designing of a paint booth. Next, after the painting is done, it goes to it has to be cured in an oven. So we need the temperature in the oven will depend on the paint that is used. For a typical paint, it could be 60 to 70 degrees, or even if it is going to be stubbing enamels, it could be 130, 120 to 130 degrees centigrade. And if it is powder coating, the temperature will be at least 200 degrees. So the hot air ovens, it could be a conveyorized oven or it could be a batch type oven, whichever is according to the necessity. Now in this, these ovens has to be heated to get the required temperature. The basic, if it is a small oven, we use electrical heaters mounted on the side. If it is going to be a bigger oven and the heat load is more, the electrical load will become more. So we can always use oil fired or a gas fired burner systems to heat the circulating hot air. So now we have excellent burners which are very simple, quiet in operation, fully automatic, and also precise in temperature controls. So we designed the based on the heat load. The ovens are designed and put into operation, and very easy to less maintenance and easy to operate. And we have high density insulation to minimize the heat losses. Yeah. This is a typical batch type oven where the jobs are put in a trolley, pushed into the oven, and it is there on the top is a box. There is a gas fired hot air generator and a blower which circulates the hot air into the oven. On the right side, we have a conveyorized type oven. The jobs are going into the conveyor, and it travels a certain distance for a definite period, for a given period of time, till the job gets cured, and then it comes out of the oven. We make on the right side, if you see the fumes from the booth is you can see the blower which sucks the fumes from the paint booth and passes through activated carbon filter, which is on the right picture. You can see it's a green color enclosure, and then goes out into through the exhaust ducts. Now these activated carbon filters are located, those filter modules are located inside that enclosure. So the exhaust fume air passes through the filter media and then it goes out. Now what happens in these scrubbers is the activated carbon has a tendency to capture. It has got, because of its porous density, it has got a ability to capture all the organic solvents, and the clean air is allowed to go out. Now, these are some of the projects that we have done, and we have been doing all these projects for, if we take up special projects for ISRO, and we have done for other companies, some challenging jobs, some of our clients. Now the clients could be a small parts manufacturer who make automobile components, like the under chassis of a component, the inside components, the mirror, the dashboards, the headlamps, the wheels, and so forth. We have the Simpson is one company where for the engine painting, and then we have this wheel cover painting. We have aluminum alloy wheels. We have this the rear view mirror, the front view mirror. The painting technology in the automobile sector has very much advanced. I will just tell you why I will just tell you a few examples. We are not aware of how much the how much work that is being done by the surface coatings on a product. I'll just tell you one small case about the headlamps. I think all of you know about the headlamps which are used in the automobile. These are coated with a particular paint and with a particular clear coats, and you must please understand the why. If the coating is not there, what will happen? Your car is traveling at a speed of 150 kilometers per hour speed, and just imagine there's a truck of sand lorries traveling in the front, and the sand particles are flying out of the truck. It could that small particles can have an impact on your car front at a tremendous velocity. If it's ordinary glass, uh, it could damage your glasses. Whereas these coatings are protecting that front line protection, and your bonnet, your car, all these are so much well protected. You can see if the thin sheet of the automobile is given about 6 to 8 coatings, and then a clear coat, and this protects the automobile when, even though it is traveling at such a high speed, and when it is traveling in a rough road, the particles which hit the bottom because of the speed, it can easily, it will be like an abrasion, but still your bottom of the your car and all is still protected. All this is happening because of the good coatings that are available today. And we have done for a small company. There are some of a few example companies for which we have done, like Wheels India, and then we have done for aerospace applications, a certain painting of certain hydraulic cylinders, and then we have done for the valves, castings, huge structures, windmills, and please imagine, another case will be the windmills. Just this windmill of it's about nearly 2 meter dia, 2.5 meter dia. The shells, these shells are one. These shells. This windmill is erected in a godforsaken place in somewhere in a remote location and open to atmosphere. This windmill we cannot afford to leave that windmill improperly painted, because we expect a life of at least 20 years, or it can get corroded and it can just get disintegrated. And that in that environment is very difficult to go and keep painting. So a proper painting process with polyurethane paints is what gives that finish and the protection to these type of structures. So, and then there are structures which are on the in the coastal areas, and also which are used in the marine applications, highly corrosive in the seawater. So different applications have got different type of paints and different type of coatings which have to be applied in different forms. So these are the challenges which are being faced, and today paint manufacturers are able to meet these challenges with this new type of adhesive paints. And we also have the chemical, prior to the paint, the protective coating is given by the phosphating chemicals, and that is being given by many of the leading chemical suppliers who supply these pre-treatment chemicals for the before painting, so that gives the life. That is the secret of the gives life for the jobs. On the right side, you can see the wheel cover painting line, which goes on conveyor. And another thing is, some of the components which are painted have to be done under highly aesthetic conditions, aesthetic and clean room conditions. So we have to provide a totally dust-free environment, just like for your cell phones, for some of the medical type of equipments, and some type of automobile like the mirrors and that headlamps. All these things are done under a very clean room atmosphere. So for that, you need to provide adequate ventilation, a clean room with proper filters, down to point less than a micron level dust particles using HEPA filters. So we provide fresh air with pre-filters, fine filters, and HEPA filters to ensure a very clean atmosphere inside the painting enclosure. You can see now, you see the dust collectors which we are using also has to be maintained properly with the dust to be how do you measure the dust, whether the filters have to be replaced, whether it's working effectively. So you need we provide proper manometers to measure the pressure differential across the filter. And when you to measure the pressure drop, we have a set limit. And once that if the when the filters are choked, definitely the pressure across the filter will increase. Then we get a signal that these filters have to be replaced or to be cleaned. So these type of instrumentation and automatic systems are provided. And then we have in automation, we have this today we have painting facilities where the paint spray gun is there's no need for any manual intervention. Robotic applicators are there which will paint the job. The paint the component goes inside the booth. It can rotate on its own axis and get painted thoroughly and keep moving on a continuous production basis. So there's no need for even an operator there, so the operator is protected. On the we can see a paint booth where it's coated off with a motor being painted, a big large size paint booth, and a continuous conveyorized paint booth, and a complete turnkey project which have been done by us. So these are the few things, and if there are any questions, I would be glad to take it up.
Sir, so Mr. Ram is asking how to evaluate the healthiness of the dust extraction system.
Yes. Yeah. Now, in a dust extraction system, see generally there are the method of cleaning determines the type of dust collector. You have an ordinary simple dust collector where the filters are just shaken using by a hand or by a motorized shaking method. So the filters are cleaned periodically. The dust which is deposited on the filters are dislodged from the filter. But now we have an automatic systems called pulse jet cleaning systems. Pulse jet cleaning system, nothing but a pulse jet of compressed air. A pulse jet of compressed air for a short duration is injected into the filters. So it dislodges the filter. It discharges the dust from the filters. And you can also have there is a manometer provided across the filters from the clean side and the dusty side. So if it crosses a particular limit, you can ensure that the filters are all clogged. Maybe it has needs replacement. Maybe after a year, 2-3 years, or maybe it is there's some damage, so it has to be replaced. What are the critical aspects which may affect the efficiency? I don't know. On regarding, could you just be a little more clear on that, sir? Whosoever question is that. Hello. I did not understand you, but what are the critical aspects which may affect the efficiency, Mr. Ram? Somebody has asked what is the environmental hazard of using water curtain in a paint booth. What are the international and national norms for water curtain paint booth? Yeah. What, the water forms a curtain in the paint booth. There's a water curtain. That water curtain is only to capture the overspray from the in the paint booth, and then it gets mixed along with the water and goes down. But many a times the paint is not a soluble material in water, but it only helps in capturing the overspray, and the paint sludge gets accumulated in the water. The paint booth, the water curtain paint booth per se is a scrubber. It's called an orifice scrubber. If you take chemical engineering handbook, you can see paint booth, wet paint booth is nothing but a horizontal. It is a orifice scrubber. But still nowadays the pollution control board insists on uh, a scrubber. Now this is a point of dispute which I have explained to the in some of the forums, that see the by using a scrubber you cannot, by wet scrubber you cannot capture the fumes. The fumes do not get absorbed in the water. You need a different method, like you need activated carbon or something like that to absorb these fumes or volatile components in the paint. And what are the international norms, national norms for water curtain? These are the whatever the water curtain paint booth and all standard norms only. Generally, these are the general practice followed globally of a wet booth or a dry type booth. What's the norm for difference in velocity to check the dust collector effectiveness? Huh? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Raj, who retired, Raj DG Fastly is on the mic, wants to ask you an audio question.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, audible.
Sir, you're not audible, sir.
Waste disposal system.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Could you please speak about waste disposal system?
I'm not able to hear you. Yeah, please.
Waste disposal system.
For?
Waste disposal system.
Yeah, waste disposal system for what? For which one you're talking?
From your dust collector, all the dust collected.
Yeah.
How do you deposit?
Now, what type of dust you're referring to?
Maybe from cement industry or quarry.
Yeah. See, now whatever dust which is collected in the dust collector, these are all nuisance dust. Okay, that we don't know. It's a very, very fine particles which are being suspended particles in the air that you are trying to capture it and contain it. So what happens is all this dust from the filter is dislodged into a hopper at the bottom. So all that fine particles of dust is collected in the bin at the bottom of the dust collector. This dust, I don't know if it is useful. If it is a useful material, it can be used. If it is not, if it is a nuisance value, it has to be only discarded.
No, normally in factories, that filters are not normally it is replaced, or sometimes substandard filters are used.
Yeah. Yes. So that is see. Now I'll tell you, the filtration technology itself is a technology by itself. Now, when you are ordering a dust collector, the dust collector should give the parameters, and the manufacturer should get the correct specification. What is the nature of dust? What is the type of dust? What is the particle size of dust? What is the temperature of the dust? And is it hygroscopic? Is it or the nature of the dust? Everything you have to analyze that, and then choose the appropriate filter media for that particular application. Okay. Now, what happens is, generally there's a big communication gap. The user does not know to specify or doesn't say clearly, and the manufacturer, he assumes certain thing and he gives something, and the he puts a filter which he gets from the market. He buys the filter. The filter supplier has got umpteen varieties of filters. So he just gives a standard filter which may or may not be applicable or suitable for that particular application. So this is a subject which needs to be studied in detail, and then the designer should select the appropriate filter media for use in that particular application.
Even in textile industries also, they face lot of problems in using these dust collectors.
Yeah.
And they find fed up with the replacement of filters, and they just go for substandard filters, and finally they land into the failure of the total system like dust collectors.
Sir, I am basically a technocrat, and being a technocrat in this field, now we do our work right from the first principles. But what my observation is today in the market, every Tom, Dick, and Harry who knows something about the subject designs a dust collector. And what I find is the user also want a dust collector is a nuisance or an unproductive equipment. So it doesn't give revenue to the user. So what happens? He goes for the cheapest or lowest quality system. So somebody gives one low cost means when you order that, now that fellow uses again a substandard material, no proper design. There's no proper, and as I told you, all these things have to be factored, and the appropriate filters should be selected. Appropriate method should be for cleaning should be used. First jet definitely will be a little expensive, but they are all automatic. The appropriate filters, cartridge filters are available. Good filter media is available today in our market in India. No need to import. Everything is available in Indian market today. We have the best filters available, and we have to only select the best appropriate filter media. Of course, the life will be around, depending on the application, 3 to 4 years or 5 years, and then you may have to replace it. Or if it is damaged, that particular filter alone has to be replaced.
Yeah, you are perfectly right. It all depends on the quality of the filters.
Exactly, sir. Now,
that's right.
I have seen many a time I have lost a lot of orders for the simple reason that a competitive quote will be there at almost 40 to 50% or 60% of our cost. So I just ignore it. I know something is wrong, so I leave it. Now, after a year or so, after some time, again the same customer will come back, and he has burnt his finger. He has already wasted the money. Now, this is unless some people in some industry they know what they want, they are very clear in the specification, and they buy that type of from the right manufacturer, and they know the cost also. They know the cost and they go for it. Now, I would like to share one experience with all of you. Since I came from ISRO, we know while trimming of a rocket fuel, it is nothing but a polymeric material. During horizontal boring of the horizontal boring machine of the rocket propellant, that comes in the form of shavings, and this has to be from the machine tool. It has to be captured at the tool itself. Now, there was that was a very critical operation, hazardous operation. The propellant is highly hazardous, very, very corrosive because it contains ammonium perchlorate, and it is very dangerous. A slight spark can hold catastrophe. The whole building itself will disappear in few seconds. That is the kind of catastrophe that can happen. Very dangerous operation. So since I came out, my director called me and gave me this opportunity. He told me, why don't you make a dust collector for this? So we designed a small dust collector system, and that I installed it in the year 93, 94. Okay, we made a watering vacuum pump to create the suction because a blower and all will be could be hazardous. And we gave a complete system to the gravity collector, a cyclone separator, a scrubber, a wet scrubber, because multiple filtration systems, and finally watering vacuum pump. And believe it or not, that system has been working for the last 23 years without any hazard and without any catastrophe. So our system has become a tender norm. So anybody who supplies a boring machine, the horizontal boring machine to ISRO or DRDO or HMRL, it will be very clearly mentioned. It will be Vitech chip and dust collection system, automatic, and the order has to come to me only. We are the people who make it for all the departments, and it's very, very hazardous. It's a proven system. So these are some of the challenging assignments, challenging things. It is a case-to-case basis where it has been designed to suit a particular application. I'm just sharing this good news with because I'm really proud of it, because then they have given me a testimonial also. They're working for the last 23 years.
If I am correct, the filter specification normally should be varying depending upon the process, depending upon the products, different products. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Where from the specifications can be?
Sir, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that. You please just give what is your dust. Give a sample of your dust to your dust collector manufacturer. In turn, give it to the filter manufacturer, and the filter fellow will recommend the. And if you have got the analysis of the dust, no, you can give it in the laboratory. You'll get the particle size analysis. When you get the particle, you'll know how much of particle is below 5 microns, how much is between 5 and 10 microns, how much is above 10 microns. If particles, there are no particles below 10 microns, you don't need to do this type of filter. You can use a simple cyclone dust collector. But if it is 5 to 10 microns, you can use a filter media dust collector. If it is going to be less than 1 micron level, then you need to go for a very stringent filter media for that particular. So you must give the particle size analysis and the nature of dust so that the appropriate filter media can be selected in the dust collector.
Is there any survey on the cost benefit of using the dust collectors, cost benefit?
Sir, because that is a very vague thing which we don't have any data, and it may be varying from customer to customer. For some, it is just to remove the nuisance value, remove the dust from the atmosphere where the people are working. For another, it may be capturing the very valuable dust, which that material can be reused again in the process because its value is high. For some, it could be just for some it will be neither this nor that. It's only to satisfy the pollution control board inspector. So these are the challenges that are there, and so technical scientific data will be available only with a very few maybe companies that they have done a good study.
I think this type of cost analysis will justify for using the dust collectors and so on.
Yes, sir.
Cost
Yes,
will
sir.
convince the management to go in for.
Sir, I will tell you one thing, sir. Now take a powder coating. Now people wanted to do powder coating, very economic. They just buy the powder and spray the powder and open, and the full plant will be full of dust. The cost of powder is about 150 200 rupees a kg of powder. Now, I had to convince the customer, see, all your money is going down the drain. He did not understand, because in the powder, when you are coating with powder, there may be only about 30 to 50% or 60% transfer efficiency, and remaining 30-40% is getting overspray. Now, if you have a cyclone recovery unit, dust unit, recover that powder and it can be recycled and reused again. So your cost is, you're saving the cost. In that application, cost saving is there. When I had to explain to that very clearly with data, I said you will recover the cost of that dust collector within 3-4 months, depending on usage of the powder. Immediately he was convinced and immediately got a recovery unit.
Very good.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Now, what's the norm for the difference in velocity to check the dust collector effectiveness? That I think you had somebody had asked that question. I don't know what exactly it means. Okay, treatment facility to be considered for Wipro type input. What's the advantage of using Wipro? No, sir. Wipro is only the name of the customer. It is the name of the customer. So it is not a model. Wipro was our customer, and they had done a type of booth, type of paint booth. Yes. And treatment facility is that now today wherever we are giving a paint booth for large quantum of paint is being used per day, high production plant. This conventional effluent treatment plants will be very cumbersome, laborious, difficult to maintain, and nasty. So this compact sludge separator equipment are ideal in controlling the removing the sludge, recycling the water. So it is very clean and it is very much effective. But though it is expensive, but it is a very much advantage. There are a lot of advantages. Yeah. Somebody has asked about the NFPA standards. Can you explain the NFPA requirement for paint as we have the paint booth in the middle of the shop floor and all the mixtures happening at the first floor? Yeah. Sir, the NFPA requirements is that the paint booth you should have flame-proof fittings inside in the paint booth, so that when electrical normal electrical connections are not allowed. You have the switch or any instrument inside the paint booth. You should have flame-proof. You should have flame-proof water, and then you have the CO2 carbon dioxide sprinkler system and a sensor to sense if there's any rise in temperature and immediately can contained. You can refer the standards. Periodicity of cleaning the dust collector, I've already answered that. Air, the parameters like air handled by the system, static pressure is not displayed on most of the stuff supplied by you in Simpson and Co. Yes. Sir, again, now when the requirement has to be, if the requirement is asked for, we can always provide that. Any set of, today everything is possible, it only cost. You provide the cost and everything is possible. You want automation, you want robotic, you want automatic telemetry systems, everything is possible today with today's technology. So it's only the cost that matters, and we can provide any measurement parameters sitting in your office room. All the parameters in the paint booth can be measured from anywhere, any location. It is possible, sir. Manometers, we can provide any, if the user demands any equipment, any instrument, whatever instrument is demanded by a customer, we can provide those fittings like manometers. We have a pressure differential manometers. We have transmitters, the pressure transmitters. Everything is possible. It only adds to the cost of the system. It is not that it's not available. Everything is available today in today's market. Everything is available. Yes. Anything else, sir?
We don't have any further questions, sir.
I hope I have answered as much.
If you would like to ask questions online.
I would just like to mention that now today, in today's context, we have come a long way. When we started powder coat, the surface coatings and all from 86, 87, quite a long journey. In the last 2 decades, more than 2 decades, we have seen tremendous amount of development in the field of surface coating. One is from the chemicals, one is from the paint, and another one is the equipment part. Now equipment, we can meet any type of fully automatic plants are also there, and high production rate plants are there. Good robotic applicators are available in the market today. All things are feasible, and remote control of a full turnkey plant is possible. It is only the question of cost, and So there's quite a lot of advancement. And in India, these technologies were not available before 80s. We were very much deprived of all this. Only with the advent of Maruti Suzuki and all automobile sector which came into the country, the demand for stringent specifications in their finished products has been responsible for the development of the technology, and we have engineered all these things in-house or in the country, within the country. We have not gone for any technology. In fact, we have all variety of clients from different parts of the world who have set up shop here, and we understand from them that we are no less inferior than anybody else in the world. We can meet the requirement, and I have instances where their parent company was very much appreciating that. Oh, in India, oh, this is possible in India. They were thinking that we don't know all this. Right from the phosphating, that we were able to meet the standards, the salt spray test. We were able to meet all the requirements of their specification in India with our products. So this is something to be proud of, and we have come a long journey, and today we can meet any specification in the world. That I'm very happy to share. Okay.
So, Mr. Premlal wants to ask you an audio question.
Yes.
Please
Yes, Mr.
take it.
Premlal, very happy to note that you are attending this from Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
Yes. Hello, sir. Has he put a question or is calling?
He actually raised the hand. For me, there's a network issue in allowing him. It's just going on loading.
Okay.
There's one more question from Mr. M.S. Rao. Meanwhile, can you
Basic test parameters to be provided to systems as inspection is effective. This is irrespective of client's requirement. Yeah. Basic test parameters, in the sense, we should know that the filters are not clogged. So we have a pressure differential manometer across the filters in a paint booth. And then you can have you have an anemometer and you have the measure the velocity. That can be done in-house by the client itself. You may test whether all the air velocity is maintained, suction is adequate. Suppose the air velocity that is not there, the velocity is not maintained. It could be due to the clogging of the filters, or there's some problem in the blower. It is choked, or so it's not performing well. It needs to check. And we give all these points in the manual that we provide to every client. And the paint booths need to be monitored or cleaned and checked periodically, at least once in a fortnight, because many places we see that the paint booth is totally neglected. They don't even maintain it. They don't clean it, and the full of accumulation of sludge, and then the blower is not clean. Nothing is done. Whereas in some places, they very good, and the paint booth is working for more than 10 to 12 years. A wet paint booth. Generally, 5 to 6 years is quite good enough, but there are where places that have worked for more than 10, 15 years with the same paint booth, and we say we are surprised how it is working because they maintain it well. Mr. Premlal?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Now I can hear you.
Yeah. Now this we are using EGI sheets, right, instead of mild steel sheets. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't require what you call derusting. Derusting is not required.
Operating is not required. Correct. Yeah.
So what we are putting up, we are thinking of going for a new plant, and we are thinking of whether to go for a spray system or the dipping system. So which one is much better, the spray or the dipping?
Now I will answer your question a little different way. See, if your quantum of jobs is very high, your production rate is going to be very high, then it is worth investing on a spray system, because that you need pumps, you need a lot of tunnel and all that. Continuous conveyor, you just load the job on the conveyor, it goes through the full washing, cleaning, and then the coating, and it comes home. That's fine. But if you don't have that kind of production, then it don't invest in that kind of much money. Then you can go for a dipping system. Yes. So both you are going to do first is what, nothing but degreasing. You have to remove all the oil or whatever, clean it. And then if you are going to give a chromate coating on that, so that it creates that addition thing before painting. Or before powder coating. Yes.
So how does we filtering, after using the chemicals? So I mean, centering the environmental is a big issue in our country. So
every country, every place is becoming a big issue.
So is there any proper systems you have we can recirculate the water what we using, or the chemicals what we using after filtering?
Now, I cannot give a very general answer to this question. Now, what you have to address this question to the chemical supplier who is going to supply the chemical to you. Because what chemical you are going to use, I don't know. So, whoever is going to supply the chemical to you, he is the best person to suggest, okay, I'm using, because you'll be using, I don't know what percentage you will be using, how frequently you have to change it, how many times you have to replace that water, how to clean that water, everything, because he is the owner of that particular proprietary chemical. He is the right person to advise you. You must insist, you must ask him to please tell me how I have to treat the water and how I can recycle that water back into the plant. Yes. Because nowadays nobody is allowed to release that water and to use again and again. I mean, use fresh water. Nobody does that. You have to recycle the water. So they will be the best people who will tell you how to do that treatment and then filtrate and then recycle the water.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pradan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Premlal.
Thank you. Bye.
Mr. Arokianathan?
Yes, sir.
Can you please send your contact details to my mail?
Yes, sir. Your good name, sir?
GM Raj.
Mr. Raj. Yeah, okay. I'll tell the organizer to share it with you, sir. In fact, wait 1 minute. I'll try to see that I can. Can you get it?
My mail ID.
You can just take a photo. Just take a photo of that. Yes, sir. Yeah. Good, sir. I hope.
Any other questions from attendees?
Thank you.
Okay, sir. We'll wind up the session.
Yes. So thank you very much. Thank you one and all. And thank you, Sriram and team, for giving this beautiful opportunity. I hope I've done justice to the job and shared my thoughts and views. If anything is there, you can always keep in touch with me on the mail. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now I'd like to present the vote of thanks. Dr. V. Sriram, speaker, Mr. Arokianathan, participants, organizers of Safety Cluster. My hearty thanks. Dr. Raj, DG Presley, retired. Thank you for your presence this evening. Excellent explanation on this vast subject on paint booths, hot air oven, industrial scrubber, dust collector, powder coating, phosphating, and clean room system. A very dynamic and informative session by sir. Thank you for your enthusiastic participation, for all the time in sharing your diverse experience and patiently answering all the questions from the attendees. Please visit our channel Safety Cluster on YouTube. Do click the subscribe and the bell button to continuously receive notifications on our weekly webinars. To like, share, and subscribe to the circle. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.